Hey people, it's Sunday, the 4th of December, and yeah, I'm back again. As I've said in the past, I make the videos as I feel it, and I'm feeling it, so here I am. Cheers. The Dear Diary aspect of making these videos will have a lot to do with why I decide to do one. And today what I want to share is I'm really happy with this development. So Bandcamp Friday is over, but my music is still selling. In particular, my new release Interlude, if you've seen it, Andrea Della Piana in Italy made the comment that it looks like an ECM release. And that's on purpose. I designed the cover very simply, but the aesthetic was, that could be on ECM when I chose the font to go with the image. That's again kind of dreaming out loud, which is, what a fantasy, what a wonderful fantasy to have a record on ECM, even though I don't fit their aesthetic, but it's one of my favorite labels. So that's where the idea for the cover came from. But the fact that it's still selling, and I see in my mail that I had several more sales, so I was curious and went and looked at the Nebraska best-selling page, and usually I immediately go down after Bandcamp Friday. Usually the next day, when I check, it's like my status has gone down. I've gone up. I'm number 3, best-selling right now in Nebraska. It's fun to share this now. I don't do what I do based on that. Folks who, any number of people will tell you in and out of the business who have experienced it, that the emptiness of that fame focus is very empty. So I already know that, so I'm not caught up in it. I'm just enjoying the fact that the music seems to be proliferating, that the interest in my music is growing. Michael Dawson and Chris Oliver, if you happen to see this, I'm perplexed why people are not showing you more support and not showing interest in your music, especially on Bandcamp Friday. Like I said, Michael Dawson, after your last upload about your music, I went back and listened, and that stuff is much better than I remembered. It takes time for it to kind of sink in. You definitely have a thing of your own. And Chris Oliver has just been going forever, plays everything, and he's a good guy, The line is long from there, but I want to mention them as people who I consider musical associates, friends. Show them some love, y'all. I got some physical orders, and those will go out. Thank you for continued or renewed interest in my older works. Thank you. I'll tell you what, I've just about listened to all of this already. Gentle Giant is extremely important to me. They are on the level of the Beatles for me, and Genesis and Peter Gabriel and Soft Machine. I didn't mention them the other day. There's more, but those are some of my tops. My esteem for the band, and particularly Gary Green, has just gone up more from listening to this. Because on here, what you get to hear, I found this interesting, that the packaging is similar to the Muffins, the way that they have their discs, looking like tape reels. But my regard for Gary Green's guitar playing has gone up even higher after listening to this and listening to some of the practice tapes and the demos, and I'm just floored. I'm not dissing Eric Clapton. I'm using him to put perspective on what I'm saying, because for a long time, Clapton was God to guitar players. Gary Green, in his technique and his ability to play all kinds of stuff as well as the blues, far surpassed Eric Clapton a long time ago as far as skills. No, it's not. I'll say it again. It's not disrespect. It's trying to give perspective to folks who maybe think that Clapton is the shit. Well, you need to listen to Gary Green of Gentle Giant. Clapton couldn't play half of this stuff. He'd have to go back to school to play this shit. It's amazing. Big props. The other thing I'd like to share is Gary Green got a hold of me the next day. He said it was a blast. When are we doing it again? So I'm going to wait. I said, let's wait a couple weeks. Let's not overdo this. I told him, and he agreed with me in the exchange email. I feel a bond with you. I feel like I made a friend. And he said likewise. Said he wanted to send me something. It's a blessing, people. It is, It's really a wonderful blessing. So Gentle Giant just goes up higher in my book as far as respect for them as musicians, listening to them, the banter between them on some of the recordings on that scraping the barrel. And the other thing is that I'm kind of nerdy. I'm not always thinking about sex. So I saw that's an oyster. It does not remind me of anything sexual. It looks like an oyster to me. But I had someone comment on that aspect of it and why that might be why this was not used. It was originally, apparently it was the cover for one of their releases that ended up not being used. So, enough of that. More Dear Diary. Had a great Zoom with my brother, my sister, and my nephew, Karim, yesterday. And I just really value them, and it's really important to be able to have people to talk to who are also grounded. And they both say it, in particular Karim said, it's like, it's hard to find people to talk to beyond the bullshit level. Because that's what we do, it helps. I so very greatly appreciate my family, I really do. So I'm sharing that. People, I expected this, that there would be an uptick in messaging about wanting to talk, and maybe you want to Zoom, and you ought to Zoom this person. Folks, I'm on my own trajectory. I appreciate this. I appreciate the interest, and as you can see, yeah, I'm a lovely person to spend time with, but at this time I'm going to stay on my trajectory regarding doing these Zoom interviews. There's people I want to talk to, and I want to keep it like that, as opposed to, well, you can talk to so-and-so, or, well, I'd really like to talk to you. Now, we'll see. So far this weekend, a couple of folks who have said they'd really like to talk, and they have some musical connections. Like, well, I'll consider that, but right now, no, that's not what I want to do. The next folks that I'm hoping to talk to, who are on my radar, are Richard Barbieri of Porcupine Tree, and also Dave Newhouse of the Muppets, who I've worked with, but we've never met or talked. And so he told me to give him about a week, and then I'll get him on here. I'd reached out to Annie Haslam of Renaissance through my connection to Gentle Giant, Mauricio. So that's another one that's I'm just saying that's a person. It might surprise you. Why does he want to talk to Annie? Well, I think that my perspective would be one that she could appreciate. As a fan, but also as a untypical fan, if you know what I'm saying. Okay. So I'm just gonna do this the way it feels right to me. Okay. Thank you for your interest. Okay. So Omaha Introvert, if you want to invite me to a Zoom, I'm open to that. Invite me to your Zoom. How's that? Rather than suggesting to me what I do, you invite me. Make me a guest on your channel. Why not? So, played this, didn't get all the way through it because I kept going back to the beginning of the one side because it was so intriguing. Piero Umiliani from Italy. Just a master of library music. He can make music in all genres, seemingly. And this one, Effeti Musicali. Thank you for the fellow from Italy who comments in Italian after translated. But yes, I relate to the Italians, Italians are black, even the ones that don't like to admit it. We're all black, even you folks that don't have no melanin. One race. But this was fascinating. It's a combination of percussive tracks with vibraphone and other organ and stuff. But this man is so imaginative. It almost at times sounds electronic or otherworldly. Love this stuff. Just popped up in my head, excuse me, to pull this and play this. Kraftwerk number 2. And this is the copy that I was turned on to in high school. It belonged to the Reese brothers. And when they moved from Omaha, Paul gave me most of his records. But we played the shit out of this, as you can see. Partied with it, it's all marked up, and I had to tape it to keep it together. Cling Clang on side 1 of this is a masterpiece, a minimalist masterpiece that if you want to know about music, just like people say, if you think you want to know about jazz, you have to hear Kind of Blue by Miles Davis. I say Cling Clang by Kraftwerk is an essential piece to at least hear if you consider yourself well-rounded or want to know about music. It's groundbreaking. But what's even more groundbreaking about it is how incredibly contemporary it still sounds today. And that record was made back in 1971 or 72. I got to see them on the Autobahn tour. I told you that before. It was unreal. A couple more things I played. I pulled this. This was a recent purchase. This is a purchase from this year. The Synergetic Voice Orchestra. I had not known anything about this when I saw it. Thought it was new, but it's a reissue of something. This would be filed under world music, but the very first track, Zebra, sounds like that. How that cover hits me, the colors and the pastelness of it, which I find gorgeous. The first track on there lives up to it. It is absolutely beautiful. Then they go and do some ethnic things, and then they do a thing that sounds kind of like New Age, trying to be New Age, coffee table music that's less successful. The first track alone, even though there's more on here that's really good like the first track, but that first track alone makes this very special. Synergetic Voice Orchestra. Real good. Here's something I bought in the used because it was on Soul Note, very simply, and the price was right. Black Saint and Soul Note are associated labels that put out jazz. Looks like they put out a lot in the 80s. There's a fairly high quality mark for the label, but they also try stuff where you can see where they put people who are not as well known, maybe in the States or outside of their region, on the label. But whenever I go and listen to the stuff, it's high quality, it's good. And this is a good one. Fred Houn and the Afro-Asian Music Ensemble. This is not free jazz. This is swinging for the most part. And they swing. And there's a real warmth to the overall feel of the band. And the soloists don't waste our time. They don't waste our time trying to sound like somebody else. And they get right to it. You know, okay, this is my spot. Let me play. This is good. Worth looking up. Fred Houn is not a name, but this is a good record. And if you look it up and hear it, you'll hear it. You say, that's good jazz. Been dipping into this more because Sakamoto is my man, and I think that this is good. I posted this in the Sakamoto group, and one fella says he thinks that this could have been better. Well, things can always be better, but I tend to wonder about people who make comments like that in public. It's like, well, what the fuck do you think you know, and what is it? What is your complaint? My thought is, well, it could be better. Let me see you make it. I really do get like that, you know, especially being a music maker, you know, and it's like people who are like armchair generals. It's like, well, they should have done this and you should have done that, and then you ask them, well, what have you done and where's your experience, and they have none. That's what I mean. It's like, you know, that new Sakamoto tribute is gorgeous. It's wonderful. I don't hear any tracks on it that are throwaways, which is the other thing. That's the thing I kept forgetting to say. This compilation easily could have been a group of throwaway tracks by some of these better known people. And as a matter of fact, it was one of the thoughts that I had entering into this way back, you know, working with some of these names that maybe some of these people are just going to just give us some scraps, to put on this compilation. That's not the case. This is very vital. People set in good works, not crap, not throwaways. And I can't think of a title to give us as an example, but there's definitely compilations out there where it was thrown together, it was scraps, and not very interesting. Not so with this Zzaj. I do highly recommend this, and I do think it's one of the releases of the year. Absolutely. Okay, I think I've rambled enough. Talk to you later.